He was a married American, and Ava was his Bahamian mistress. But Cassie knew their relationship was so much more than that. In her heart, she believed they had been soulmates in the truest form. She had loved her parents deeply, and they had loved her, a product of their love. And there hadn't been a day they hadn't let her feel or know it. She had resented those times when her father would leave them to return to his family in Miami, a family she'd only found out about when she became a teenager. The truth had hurt, but then her mother and father had smoothed away the pain with the intensity of their love and had let her know that no matter what the situation was, the one thing that would never change or diminish was their love for her, as well as their love for each other. From that day forward, whether others did or not, Cassie understood and accepted her parents' unorthodox love affair. She stepped off the elevator and walked into her office, stopping to smile at her assistant while picking up her messages off the woman's desk. "Good morning, Trudy." "Good morning, Miss Garrison." Cassie liked the sound of that. She had begun using her father's last name within a week of his death. With both of her parents deceased, there were no secrets to protect, and she had no reason to continue to deny herself the use of his name. "Any additional messages?" she asked the older woman whom she had hired a few months ago. "Yes, Mr. Parker Garrison just called and would like you to return his call." Cassie forced the smile to stay on her face, while thinking that no matter what Parker liked, he wouldn't be getting things his way since she wouldn't be returning his call. She could not forget the phone conversation they had shared nearly 4 months ago. He'd called within a week of the reading of John Garrison's will, and he'd kept calling. Eventually, she had taken his call. At the time, she had been very aware that he, his siblings, and mother had been shocked to discover at the reading of the will that John Garrison had an outside child. Of the 5 Garrison offspring, Parker had been the most livid because the terms of their father's will gave her and Parker equal controlling interest in Garrison Incorporated, an umbrella corporation that oversaw the stocks and financial growth of all the Garrison-owned properties. He wasn't happy about it. Their telephone conversation hadn't gone well. He had been arrogant, condescending, and had even tried being intimidating. When he'd seen Cassie would not accept his offer to buy her out, he had done the unthinkable by saying she had to prove she was a Garrison, and had threatened her with a DNA test as well as the possibility of him contesting the will. Parker's threats had ticked her off, and she was still angry. "Miss Garrison?" Her assistant's voice recaptured her attention. The forced smile widened. "Thank you for delivering the message." Cassie entered her office. She would think Parker would have more to do with his time these days. It didn't take long for news to travel over the hotel grapevine that the handsome and elusive playboy had gotten married. And not that she cared, but she'd also heard that another Garrison bachelor, Stephen, had gotten hitched as well. She had no intention of ever meeting any of her siblings. She didn't know them, and they didn't know her, and she preferred things stayed that way. They had never been a part of her life, and she had never been a part of theirs. She had a life here in the Bahamas, and saw no need to change that. As she sat behind her desk, her thoughts shifted back to the guy she'd seen in the lobby. She couldn't help but wonder if he was married or single, straight or gay. She shrugged her shoulders, knowing that it really didn't matter. The last thing she needed was to become interested in a man. Her man was the beautiful 30-story building that was erected along the pristine shoreline of the Caribbean. And her man was a beautiful sight that took her breath away each time she entered his lobby. And she would take care of him, continue to make him prosper the way her father would want her to do. Now that her parents were gone, this hotel was the only thing she could depend on for happiness. Brandon Washington glanced around the room he had been given, truly impressed. He had spent plenty of time at the Garrison Grand, but there was something about this particular franchise that left him astonished. It was definitely a tropical paradise. The first thing he'd noticed when he had pulled into the parking lot was that the structure was different from the sister hotel in South Miami Beach, mainly because it was designed to take advantage of the tropical island beach it sat on. And it was nested intimately among a haven of palm trees and a multitude of magnificent gardens that were stocked with flowering plants.